What's going on, guys? It's Hi, and over the years I've been using this case, the Pelican 1510. This is essentially every industry standard when it comes to a carry-on size hard plastic case. Other manufacturers make a similar product, but really when they think of a hard plastic case, everyone thinks of a Pelican. However, as someone who uses these cases extensively, pretty much every day, there are a few annoyances with the Pelican cases, and this has ultimately led me to look for an alternative. After testing a bunch of different cases, my search has ultimately led me to this, the SKB 2011-7. Now that I own both, I want to share with you some of my thoughts on both of these products and hopefully help you make an educated buying decision if you're interested in such a product. By now, there are plenty of other resources that completely break down the specs of each of these cases, so that's not what I'll be doing in this video. I'll more so be covering the minor differences that may make one case better than the other. I'll also not be covering the inserts that come with these cases because there are a variety to choose from. What you end up picking up may be different from what I have, and each manufacturer kind of has their own proprietary type of insert, so there's really no point in comparing. For this video, we'll only be looking at the shell itself. First off, both of these products are carry-on size hard plastic cases that are waterproof, dustproof, and shock resistant. They are essentially built to handle any mishaps that life can throw at them to a degree. For the sake of this video, I'm just going to say that both products provide the same amount of protection. I've seen videos of people chucking these cases off of a building, rolling them off the side of a mountain, driving over them with a truck, so very extreme stuff, and both cases seem to hold up just fine. I'm personally not going to be doing any of these extreme torture tests, but in context of normal day-to-day use, dragging these cases from A to B, I see no realistic difference in terms of protection. Whether it's storing these cases in the back of the trunk or stacking stuff on top of them, both cases seem to do just fine, and I really have no complaints for either. One thing that I do want to point out, however, is that purely based on feel, the SKB just doesn't feel as rugged or sturdy as the Pelican. The shell just feels a little bit thinner and it flexes just a little bit more than the Pelican. For example, with the top lid, I can make it flex with little effort. Just a little bit of force and you can see it really start to bow. Again, this is just based on feel and I haven't done any torture tests, so I can't verify if this is better or worse, but it does make me feel a little bit uneasy. Again, without doing any real testing, I'm just going to personally say that both cases perform just about the same in terms of protection, but there are minor details that go into both that really separate the two cases. First, let's talk about the handles that are on these cases, and you may be thinking that a handle is just a handle. It allows you to have a place to just grip and lift the case up, and for the most part, that's true, but you have to remember that both of these cases are pretty heavy when you start to load them up, so having a comfortable handle can really go a long way. Both cases feature a plastic top and side handle that are rubberized where you actually grip, and this does add to the comfort of both. However, I do find that the handle of the Pelican is a bit more comfortable. The handles of the Pelicans is just a little bit thicker, a little bit wider, so when you have it in the hand, it takes up more space and a little bit easier to actually grip. Something to note is the side handle. Whereas the Pelican is really only large enough to fit one hand, the SKB features a handle that will likely accommodate two-handed use for most people. For reference, I typically wear large size gloves, and both my hands seem to fit on the handle just fine. This is nice for obvious reasons, because if your case is really heavy and loaded up, having a handle that accommodates for two-handed use just makes carrying the case that much easier. This is a thoughtful addition and I really appreciate it. Along with the handles for carrying the case, these cases also come with a handle for pulling the case. This is going to be the first major shift in design for these two cases. The Pelican features a handle that is accessible by pushing out the locking tab and pulling the handle up. This is just a simple approach that gets the job done. The SKB, on the other hand, is a little bit more technical. On the pull handle of the SKB is a red button. Pushing this button disengages the locking mechanism and allows for use of the pull handle. Although both pull handles can be accessed one-handed, it is undoubtedly easier to do so with the SKB. With the Pelican, it's just a bit more awkward and not as straightforward. I personally like the SKB better in this regard, but there is one minor annoyance. Intuitively, you will probably grab for this handle with an overhand grip. Looking at the Pelican, you can see that it accommodates for this with an indent and cutout in the case itself that allows for easier access to the handle via an overhand grip. With the SKB, there is still such cutout, so it forces you to go from behind and grab the grip with an underhand grip. This, along with the position placement of the red button, can make things a bit awkward when trying to access this pull handle, depending on if you're going at it with your right or left hand. Next, let's look at the wheels. Both cases only utilize 2 wheels, which makes them structurally more sound, but this does make transporting a bit more difficult than 4-wheeled luggages, as with those you can leave them standing upright and push them rather than only pulling them with these cases. But as far as wheel quality and how comfortable and quiet they are, I would probably have to give this to the SKB. The SKB's wheels are softer, so they roll smoother on uneven surfaces. On the other hand, the Pelican's wheels are notorious for being hard and loud when in use. Many people even go out of their way to replace them with some aftermarket options, just to get a smoother ride. I'm not saying that the SKB's wheels are perfect, but considering out of the box, they are better than the Pelican's wheels. Now let's move on to the latching system. To me, this is the most notable difference between the two cases. With the Pelican, there is a double throw latching system. When opening or closing, there are 2 stages to the latch. The first stage slightly disengages the latch and allows the lid to be slightly opened, but still held in place. The second stage completely disengages the latch and allows the lid to be completely open. This is fine in concept, but I find that it doesn't work very well. To me, it doesn't take that much effort to get this latch going. Just a slight bump, or if the latch were to get caught or snagged against something, the latch partially disengages. Then it only takes a little bit more pressure and the latch comes completely open. If you happen to be using this case without a lock, there is a possibility of everything just spilling out and getting damaged. Even if you use a lock, most would still allow for the case to be slightly opened at the first latch throw. There are of course workarounds for this, like using a zip tie to tie the whole lid together, but to me that's just extra work and really covering up for a design flaw. We're forced to look for a solution to a problem that shouldn't be there in the first place, and this is where the SKB changes things for the better. With the SKB, under the latch is another spring-loaded latch. The 2 latches have to be pushed together in order for the lid to be open. This just makes it more difficult for accidental openings to occur. Don't get me wrong, this system isn't perfect either. Something perfectly shaped can get under here and pull the lid open, but the likelihood of that happening is much smaller than something opening the latch of the Pelican. Because of this, I much prefer the latch on the SKB to that of the Pelican case. And those were the important minor differences that I saw between the Pelican 1510 and the SKB 2011-7. If you were looking for a hard plastic case to just hold your stuff in one place and not move around too much, then I think both cases do an excellent job. But if you want a case that you can transport around a lot, then the minor differences really do start to add up. In terms of the handles that allows you to lift and carry these cases around, I think that the Pelican provides a better option. The handles are larger and easier to hold in the hand, so over time, I think it just provides a better, more comfortable option. On the other hand, if you plan to pull your case around a lot, the SKB probably provides a better option, as the pull handle is a little bit easier to access and the wheels are a lot smoother and quieter in use. For me, the determining factor would have to be those latches that hold the top lid and the bottom half together. My biggest complaint with the Pelican 1510 over the years has been those latches, because they're just so easy to open. Just a little bit of force and they pop open to that first throw, and once it's there you really don't have to open it all the way at all. You don't need the double throw. A little bit of force, a little bit of jiggle, and the whole lid will be open. So in my opinion, the double throw design is just completely useless because you can open it at the single first throw. The SKB's latch almost completely solves this problem, as it's really difficult for something to just go under there and pop it open. You really have to press those 2 latches together and actively think about it. So in my opinion, this latch design is just safer. If you were to just leave your case around and other people are touching it, it's just safer in my personal opinion, and harder for the latch to actually accidentally pop open. At the end of the day, both cases provide an excellent option. It just depends on what you're looking for. Are you looking for a case to just hold your stuff in place, or do you want to move around a lot with your equipment? The Pelican 1510 is an excellent case, and like I said, it's pretty much industry standard for every industry. Everybody uses this thing, so you know that it provides a good package. However, in design, it's a little bit dated, and the little refinements of the SKB really shows this. Knowing what I know now, and if I had to go back and just buy one case, I would probably pick up the SKB, because the design is just better, and as a whole, the SKB really provides a better case in use. However, there is one other determinant that could play a major factor in our buying decision, and that is the price. At list price, both of these cases are pretty expensive. They can range around $200 new, but realistically, they both go on sale quite often. The Pelican going on sale much more often than the SKB. I typically don't buy my Pelican 1510s unless it goes on sale, and when I buy it, if I were to buy the foam one, it's typically around $115. If I were to buy the one with the padded dividers, I think it's around $135, and that's typically the highest that I'll spend on a Pelican 1510. Like I said, the SKB typically goes on sale less often, or at least a sale that's meaningful. When I purchased my SKB 2011-7 with the Think Tank, padded dividers, and the top lid, it cost around $135 new from an authorized dealer. With that in mind, with both cases with the padded dividers being on sale around $135 and them being around the same price, I would probably go with the SKB. And again, that sale price rarely ever happens. I've only seen it once, and that's when I bought my SKB. So if you need a case today, the Pelican 1510 is typically cheaper. And like I said, it's very close to each other. They are almost the same thing. They do the same thing. One just is a little bit more refined than the other. So if money and the price of these cases are a factor for you, you probably want to look at the Pelican 1510 because, again, they're typically cheaper. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it around, comment down below with any thoughts or questions that you may have. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more content. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.